Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing U.S. marriage visas and quote-unquote part-time living here in the Kingdom of Thailand. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about folks who basically get their spouse, their significant other, their spouse, well, at the point at which it's a U.S. marriage visa, they're going to be married. So they get their spouse a U.S. green card. They get a lawful permanent residence attached for their, for example, Thai spouse. And then they want to go ahead and spend half their time, for example, in the United States, half their time here in Thailand. Now, definitely possible. One thing to bear in mind with respect to U.S. marriage visas, be it a CR1 or an IR1 visa, well, specific thing to bear in mind with respect to a CR1 visa is what's called the lift of conditions, maintaining one's conditionality of their permanent residence in the USA 90 days prior to the 2-year anniversary of one's obtainment of lawful permanent residence based on marriage, if married less than 2 years at the time the permanent residence is conferred. You got to file 90 days prior to the 2-year anniversary of that. You got to go ahead and file for what's called a lift of conditions, a lift of conditionality or removal of conditions, and thereby be granted unconditional lawful permanent residence in the United States. So if you take your spouse to the United States on a CR1 visa, bear in mind you're going to have to deal with the lift of conditions. Even where it's an IR1 visa, an unconditional lawful permanent resident conferring visa, also bear in mind there is the issue of presumption of abandonment of residence. So if you're doing 6 months on, 6 months off in the United States, you're probably, I stress probably, this is circumstantially dependent, but you're probably going to deal with, not going to have a big issue dealing with presumption of abandonment if you're spending half your time in the United States. But where it can be a problem is where one spends more than a preponderance of their time in the USA. So maybe they're spending, 7, 8, 9 months outside of the USA at a stretch, or inside the USA at a stretch, and then do the same thing outside. So 9 months in the USA, 9 months out of the USA. You can start getting into that area where presumption of abandonment of residence in the United States becomes an issue. There are ways to deal with that. One is proper travel planning. But also, one thing that may provide some benefit to those who are looking to move back and forth on a part-time basis might be looking at what's called a reentry permit, which would attach to the lawful permanent residence, which provides the ability to come and go from the United States over a more prolonged period of time. That being said, always remember, this stuff is going to be based on the specific circumstances in your given case. If you're concerned about issues associated with moving back and forth and maintaining one's permanent residence in the USA, it's probably a good idea to contact a legal professional, gain some insight and guidance into how best to proceed.